threatening towards indigenous people from whatever region. If I don't let my own people slide, what makes you think I'm going to let anybody else slide? That's dumb. So you can be mad at me all you want. I know words hurt. It hurts hearing things about people in your community that are true. I know in certain ways many people are not used to being held accountable or even holding their own people accountable. I'm not a space for that. I'm not one of those people who's gonna let that shit slide. I know it hurts. Imagine how we fucking feel. Imagine how I felt when that little honky ass bitch sat there in a video and called me a spick and then responded by saying, "You're lucky I even thought of you," and then threatened me and told me to shut my mouth, and then made another video talking about a co-worker sat in her car at her job and talked about a co-worker who is from Mexico and spoke about her genitalia, spoke about her hygiene, and then called the country she's from a shithole country. Completely disregarded and disrespected her co-worker as she sat in her car at her job. And then made another video with the sound of a woman pew-pewing at Mexicans and said, "Not in my country." And that's the woman that, in order to deflect from what she did, instead of answering for what she did, she just said, third world. Yeah, she called it a third world country when it's fucking connected to this continent. So is Canada a third world country? Is the United States is getting there. So, and in order to deflect from what she called me, she goes and takes a clip or gets sent. Kiki, I'm sure it was you. You can try to lie about it all you want. Until proof is shown that it wasn't you, and she takes that little block out of that screenshot, I know it was you. Yet you got on this app, made a fucking video talking about, "I don't agree with either of them." When, if y'all actually listen to the beginning of that audio, I was responding to a conversation that had already been started by the person who mysteriously sent Shannon that audio. Oops. But instead of running, making excuses, here I am. I even posted it on my own account for everyone to hear. And even though that was a private conversation, first of all, if all of our conversations were public, none of us would be innocent. None of us, there's not a single person besides children that would be innocent in anything. Private conversations are private conversations. Yeah, at least I'm honest about the audio. And I'm not making, this is in no way, shape, or form an apology. I mean what I said. And I said what I meant. Even though I was intoxicated, I meant what I said. Because what I said wasn't geared towards the entirety of the Black community. It was geared towards that portion of the community that has been racist and violent towards other people of color, indigenous people. And like I've said before, I will never tell anybody how to defend themselves against anything. I did what I needed to do. And if you don't see that, and if you don't respect that, you don't have to stay. You don't have to be my mutual. You can block me. You can do whatever the fuck you feel you need to do. I know you ain't gonna fight me though. So there's that. Because I've heard so much derogatory shit towards indigenous people from other communities, especially people in that community specifically. What up, Fluff? Especially that community specifically. Just today, scrolling on my FYP, video after video after video, the comment section. So if equality is what y'all really want, and I'm giving it to you, why are you mad? And like I said before, if there is no gray area, because I heard that somebody was on this app talking about there's no gray area when it comes to racism. There is all the gray area when it comes to racism. It depends on who you like. Who, like, you could be married to somebody who's black and be racist. You can be married to somebody who's Mexican and be racist, but because you like that one specific from the community, you're one of the good ones. That doesn't mean that you like the entirety of the community. That just means you found one you can tolerate, or you can sexualize. Because let's be real, that's a fucking thing. Oh, look at that. Oh yeah, Ladybug. Since you were on here calling her Shannon a good reconnecting, remember the time that you sat there on live and told me that you are darker than most Mexicans, than any Mexican. You are darker than every Mexican. You are darker than a Mexican. And when I told you you weren't, you doubled down and kept saying you were. Why would you say something like that? Contagion and violent. Right, Daniel. How many times we see people get hate just for speaking Spanish? Right. Now, I'm from Texas. I'm from a state with a long history of mistreating, lynching Mexican people, brown people, discriminating against brown people for speaking Spanish, deporting actual citizens. California has a very deep history with that as well. So why, Ladybug, would you get on this app and tell me, a Mexican descendant, Mexican indigenous descendant, that you are darker than Mexicans? What would that? What was the point of that? Huh? Also, there's a little young hoe on here who likes to, whenever she argues with older women, because for some reason she just can't keep a female friend to save her fucking life, she likes to bring up their age. Now, yes, I am almost 40. But ma'am, remember, you still have to get to 40. And the life you've lived so far. Have you spoken on that? Have you spoken on the fact that you told me, since you like to bring up, you should have your life together, you should do this and you should do that. Why do you have so many inspections in an apartment complex multiple times a month? Is it Section 8? Is your rent $12? Or is it CPS? Because I have pictures of how you keep your home, bitch. Like I said, you should probably keep my fucking name out your mouth. Or people might find out that you were only single from your ex, who you're still married to, for a week before you got with his friend, who you now call your spouse. And do you know what spouse means? It means husband. You have one of those already, and it's not the one you're with. Like I said, y'all could really leave me the fuck alone, because I've been off this motherfucker. And you have been talking shit, not only behind my back, but behind every single one of your little new friends' back. You called Kiki retarded. I'm probably gonna have to get off. Hold on. Give me a minute. Let's see. But all y'all decided to try to throw Rae under the bus to make yourself look better. Now, I also have a reputation on here of not being a liar. As many receipts as I've shown, as many times as I've taken accountability for the shit that I've said, for the shit that other people have said about me, I would like to think that I have a reputation of being honest and not being a liar. Can y'all say the same? Because I know, and not being sneaky either. I don't set people up. But I know y'all like to have conversations, obviously, and record. Y'all should not be trusted. People should never trust you guys, because you're always looking to get dirt on people when you're partaking in said conversations, when you're partaking in said behaviors. And then once you inevitably fall out with them, all of a sudden, all these things come to light. Reminds me of somebody else that y'all supposedly don't like, and one of you actually used to be besties with. Can you guess who? Yeah, Megan. She's the same fucking way. Oh, yeah. So, like I said, y'all could and should leave me the fuck alone. Because like I said, I'm not scared of anybody on this app. I don't need to lie to anybody on this app. And I've never ran from accountability or never ran from giving people the courtesy, because I really don't have to do it, but I do, because I gotta practice what I preach, right? People need to be honest with each other. I'm being honest with you guys. The audio you heard of me, I don't apologize for. I don't take it back. I meant what I said. And if you listen carefully, I didn't generalize an entire community. I spoke specifically on a portion of the community that has been very hateful and violent towards Indigenous people. And as an Indigenous person, I have every right to defend myself however the fuck I see fit. Nobody has the right to tell me how to react to hate and racism. Ever. Just like I would never tell y'all how to react to hate and racism. I've been very adamant about that, and I've repeated that multiple times on multiple occasions during many conversations. And I never have tone policed someone in regards to how they respond to somebody who has been very hateful and disrespectful to them. So, just a reminder, or maybe an acknowledgement. The people that you see acting surprised or appalled at my behavior or my words, just know they are not to be trusted. Because if they do that to me, when they've sat on this app for months or years, saying, oh, Rae, she's so blunt. Oh, if Rae comes at you, you deserved it. If Rae comes at you and says something to you, you deserved it. And I'm just going to sit back and I'm just going to let it happen. And this, and Rae, and all the great things about Rae. But now look at them. Look at where they're at. Look at what they say. You don't have to like me. I don't really care. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to build a platform. I'm just a human being having social interactions on an app where I can reach and speak to many people. But those people who are trying to build their platforms, who have built their platforms off of drama, right. So be mindful. Pay attention, as I've always said. Pay attention to who you follow. Pay attention to who you hang around. Pay attention to their jokes. Pay attention to their responses. Pay attention to their sarcasm. Pay attention. Because to what they try to pull you into, because mind you, I have defended every single one of those people at one point or another, and I have protected them from the consequences of their own actions. And this is the result of that. So be mindful who you trust, and if you're not going to trust anybody, make sure it's them. Do not trust them. They will set you up. They will sit on the phone with you, start a conversation, and be recording the whole fucking time. Not that I'm ashamed of what I said. Like I said, I don't take it back. I meant it. You can follow my comments and see how I speak to them now. Because who the fuck are you to think that you can come and talk to us any kind of way you think you can and nobody say anything back? Racism is when you generalize the entirety of somebody and you discriminate against them because of their skin tone, religious beliefs, practices, or culture. I discriminate a specific group from a specific community that I always make that distinction of every time I begin to talk about them. And those people are specifically, yet again, because some of you don't like to listen and just hear what you want to hear, we are the originals. Now, since we are talking about, no gray areas in racism, where the fuck were y'all when my community is being spoken down against by natives, by the black community, by anybody else? Where people from my region are from, when everybody's making these little jokes, why are you quiet? If you know it's wrong and you know how they mean it, why were you quiet, Miss No Gray Area? And also, how the fuck are you gonna blame me for people agreeing with Shannon who are people of color? How are you gonna blame me for other people's mentalities, Miss No Gray Area? But you sat there repeatedly and let all of that happen. Sorry, I had to do the puzzle. Let all of that be said. And then had the audacity to message me and say, I tried to speak up. How do you try to speak up? How do you try? Because you weren't as loud for my shit as you are for that half of you that you weren't even a part of. You weren't even a part of the group that I was talking about. But for some reason, you felt that shoe fit. And you got mad. So yeah, them earlier in Don Chewy's live where they were talking about Shannon, and their little PR person went in there and it's like, we don't support that. We have is they knew. They knew because I warned them. They knew because I knew. They knew because I knew of Shannon before they did. And if they didn't know her before I did and knew her at that time, that's even worse. But the fact that you sat here on this app, provided commentary for a conversation that I was having with you, Kiki, and then got on here and was like, both are wrong. Performative as fuck. Because when I first met you, you were under fire for being called anti-black and anti-Mexican. I guess to avoid that, again, because you were assisting her with her lineage, which means you were closer with her than anybody else was. And you can try to deny it all you want. But she was only in those spaces because of you. You brought her in to those spaces. You didn't make her go through anything. You sat there and protected her. Now you want to act like you are not responsible. But ain't that how it works in Native culture? You are irresponsible for her, as you were showing her the ropes. She claims your tribe. Chris, like I said, keep my name out your mouth. Stop insinuating shit. You can sit there and be mad at me all the fuck you want for what the fuck you did. But you will not be upset at my response. See, I left you alone. I hadn't spoken on you until this came up, because you and Kiki were the only two people that I had those conversations with. And the fact that both of y'all want to act innocent, like y'all weren't in agreement with me during that and those conversations, that it wasn't brought up by y'all. Yeah, this is my response. The fact that you want to make a post and be like, you're 40 and you need to get your life together and stop bringing me up and my spouse about blah, blah, blah. But you didn't call me a liar. You didn't call me a liar. But you did message me and say, I didn't leak that footage. Okay. But you did make a video. And even though you didn't say my name specifically, everybody knew who the fuck you were talking about. So, like I said, keep that house clean before it gets taken. And keep my fucking name out your mouth. Or it's just gonna get worse. So, yeah, y'all have a good one. And I mean, I'm not gonna keep dragging this shit out, but you know, you can comment on that video. You can always DM me. You can, for whatever conversation you feel like you need to have. But yeah, this is me addressing the situation as I always do. And y'all have a good day, because I'm gonna get off and